Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. I ask that you mute your phones until you're called upon to have a part in the meeting. So this meeting is called to order. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Norfolk. It's great to see everyone. We'll first be led in music by Bob Healy. Bob, you have the stage.
Well, thank you, Jim, and please confirm you can hear me.
Gotcha.
Very good. I hate to start singing and not be heard. This song is from our Rotary songbook. It's one that's well known to all of us and one of my favorites. Let there be peace on earth. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment with peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. And then for our patriotic song, I'm going to do Woody Guthrie's National Anthem. And you all know this song. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highways, I saw above me her endless skyway. I saw below me the Golden Valley. This land was made for you and me. Everybody now. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to the New York Island. From the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters, this land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled and followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. One more time. This land is your land. This land is my land. From the California to the New York Island, to the Redwood Forest, to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. This land was made for you and me. President Jim, take it away.
Thank you, Bob. And now, if you will please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now our Rotary four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And Bob? Thank you. Actually, you are muted. Give it another shot.
Oh, Oh, I was. Will it be fun?
Thanks, Bob.
Somebody else muted me.
It was not me. Um, and now we'll be led in our invocation by Lauren Kiger.
Sure. Dear Lord, we thank you for having called us to this community to live our lives and do our work for Rotary. Grant us the wisdom and the foresight to discern what is for our own betterment and the betterment of all of mankind. Strengthen us in being a part of your power and influence. Prosper us in our calling. Help us in our needs and guide us as we continue to be people pursuing peace. We are not at all sure what tomorrow holds, but we are very sure who holds tomorrow. May peace and goodwill abide among us this day and always. Amen.
Thank you very much. Okay, and let's see. We're not going to have a visitation report today. Joe Massey is off spending some time with his family in Hot Springs. Does anyone know of anyone in our club who we should know is experiencing some difficulty or that we should reach out to? All right, I'm just scanning. Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good.
We still have Chris McKinnon, right?
We do
Colin's
still
daughter.
have Chris McKinnon. Do you have any
Who's in
updates
rehab.
on that, Sally?
I am on their Caring Bridge page. She's in at a rehab center now in I think Philadelphia, and she's making a little progress. It seems like of opening an eye, and they have her sitting up. And but the hard part with the family is due to their COVID restrictions, they still have only one family member can go in every other day for an hour. But the nurses have helped them FaceTime with her. So I think today was her mom's day to go and stay with her a little while.
Thank you.
Any
just want to give
update
you
on Ann Morgan?
Yeah, I was about to give a little bit of an update. She's still in the hospital. Her situation is very fluid. She shows a little bit of progress and then regresses a bit. So it's still, I still think it's a very dicey situation for her. The only specific, it's not even specific, it's a rather general thing. I know it's autoimmune related, and it's been a struggle for her. So, I can just ask that you keep her in your thoughts and prayers, because she is having a difficult time. Anyone else? Okay, our school of the week is Willard Model Elementary School, and our rotation scribe today is Julie Kiesling. So thank you, Julie, for taking care of that. Let's move along to some club business. Two things. One, I put out in the president's letter that our July 6th meeting is going to be in person, and we're going to be meeting at the Town Point Club, and that will be the installation ceremony for the new officers and board for Rotary Year 21-22. So we're excited about that. Also wanted to pass along that we're actually going to get a little head start on getting back together. June 15th, I'm announcing now, the mayor is coming to speak with us about the state of the city. We're going to be doing that meeting at the Town Point Club also. So he has agreed to meet in person, and so we are going to make that happen. Lots of you are probably asking, how is it going to work from the standpoint of paying for lunch? And for those two meetings, the club is going to be picking up the tab for lunch. So you'll get some more information. We probably need to set up some sort of RSVP for that. And Michael, do you have any additional information to pass along about either the 15th or the 6th?
No, other than I have a maximum count of 75. We can go higher, but I would need to let the club know.
Okay.
So we probably should do some sort of RSVP for
Yeah.
both dates. And there will be no masking, no social distancing. It's normal. So if you don't feel comfortable in that setting, I would ask that you not attend. But if you are comfortable in that setting, we would love to have you.
Okay. Well, we're certainly looking forward to that. I know a lot of folks have been anxious to get back together, and it seems as though the trend is going in favor of allowing us to do that. So we're pretty excited. Here's another thing we're pretty excited about. Sigger, would you like to present a Paul Harris Fellow +8 to one of our members?
I would love to, and I'm so excited. Past President Lisa Chandler is now a Paul Harris Fellow +8. I thank her for her contributions. And Lisa, I know you're on this Zoom meeting, so would you like to tell people about how easy it is for you to give to the Rotary Foundation?
Well, Sigger, it is so easy that I forget that I'm even doing it. So I had no idea that I had reached Paul Harris Fellow ×8. I signed up years ago to do it through Rotary International, and it comes out of, on my credit card statement, and I have never thought about it twice again. So it's pretty darn easy. And I'm glad to do it.
It is, thank you. So the program is called Rotary Direct, and you can sign up on Rotary International through the foundation thing, or you can contact me and I'll help you walk through it. But again, Lisa, thank you so much for your faithful contributions to the Rotary Foundation and to helping us build a better world.
Thank you, Lisa. Community service. Walt, what have you got for us?
So we have a couple of things coming up in the next couple of weeks. First of all, next week on the 25th, it's time to go to the food bank. And they've changed their program a little bit. So their hours are from 9:30 till, from 9 o'clock to 2:30. And they just ask us to commit 90 minutes of our time, anywhere between 9 o'clock and 2:30 in the afternoon on the 25th. So that will fulfill that commitment that we have with them. Then we're going to do Clean the Bay, and that's at the Sarah Constant Beach Park on 300 West Ocean View. We're going to form up along Ocean View and start cleanup from there. I'll have the supplies. We're going to get those supplies from the Keep Norfolk Beautiful office. So they're going to supply us with everything we need, from trash bags to pickup sticks. Hopefully it'll be a nice day, and we'll spend a couple hours cleaning up the park. And normally with the group that shows up, that shouldn't be a problem. Then we can enjoy the rest of our day, either at the beach there or burning burgers at home.
Well, what was the date on the Clean the Beach?
June 5th. And I need to ask Marty for forgiveness. She sent me an email last week about another opportunity to volunteer. I have not posted it, but I will do that, Marty, and I will announce it at the next meeting. And if anybody else has any volunteers about any community service functions, I've called a couple of places, and some people are still shut down. Good Mojo, where we used to do food sorting and things like that, are moving. They're not taking any kind of volunteers until later in the fall. So I'm looking for kind of another thing we can do that's a little different than the food bank and the cleanup efforts we've been doing. So if anybody has any ideas, please drop me a line. That's all I have, Jim.
Thanks, Walt. Appreciate it, and appreciate all you're doing for the club. We now move along to fines and happy bucks. And Lisa, this is just your day in with a target on your back. A little birdie has told me that that you made the power list for Inside Business.
You know, President Jim, I really think that, I mean, yes, I heard that yesterday, had no idea that was coming out. You know, my first thought was that they just recycled exactly the same people from last year because of COVID, and it was the easiest thing to do. So, but I will Venmo an appropriate payment for that honor.
Well, thank you and congratulations. That certainly is a nice honor.
Yes, it
and
is.
you were
Thank you.
joined on that power list by Marcia Constant, and I don't think Marcia's here today. But for those of you who don't know Marcia, she's relatively new to the club. She's been with us a little over a year, and she's the president over at TCC. And she, so you know, our Rotary Club has two powerful people in it. So we should all be proud of that. That's great. Who has some happy bucks? Some good news they'd like to share with the club? Scanning around. Lisa, yes.
Might as well make it a threefer. So getting ready to head out to California to see our grandkids on Saturday. And I'm just thrilled to be getting out of town and just seeing them. So I'll send some additional dollars with my fine for the power list.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Lauren.
Hi, so I'm back from Key West, so I need to send y'all some happy bucks for that. And very happy to be joining you once again after a few years hiatus. So thank you all for having me again today. I'll need the Venmo link.
Okay. I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Diana.
Hi, everybody. Well, last week was a huge week for the Starkeys. Both of our children graduated. My oldest son graduated from Duke University with his master's degree. He's looking for a job in Northern Virginia where he's got his degree in environmental economics. So I'm looking to all of you for help in finding him a job, because he really needs a job. He laughed about going further into debt to save the environment. So he's got a good attitude of it. And a very surprised that my youngest son graduated from James Madison University. And I say that it was a surprise because he told us on Tuesday, the week before, that he actually got everything lined up so he could graduate. So we found out a week before his graduation that we were to go to Harrisonburg for an in-person graduation. So it's a surprise and a really good one. Also, I have one more, just have to give happy bucks for my 28th year wedding anniversary was on Saturday. So I'll give some happy bucks for that as well. So thank you. Thank you.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations on all three of those. That's awesome. Anyone else?
Jeff Wells.
Jeff, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. My youngest daughter, who came to visit, you all met her when I was going through my surgery, fell in love with Norfolk and loved the whole Virginia area. And she told me on Sunday that she has taken a job offering and will be moving to Ghent in August for at least 2 years. So I'm very excited. I'm very happy that she loves the region.
Jeff, do I smell a new Rotarian?
It's a family thing. I think she's going to have to go.
Well, good. Michael, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I had a happy bucks for a great trip to Atlanta where we went to visit the Atlanta Botanical Garden to see what they were doing, especially around their conservatory. Have never spent any time in Atlanta. We stayed in Midtown where the park and the garden are, and we're very impressed. Great city.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Chuck.
I'm happy to report that grandson Mason Beers, who had lymphoma and the bone marrow transplant last fall, has had his 6-month checkup back up at Children's Hospital in Washington with no cancer. His blood work keeps going up. He graduates from Cape Henry next weekend and is going to Colgate in the fall. So we're very grateful.
All wonderful things. That's great. That is really good news. Anyone else? All right. Well, if nothing else, then we'll move along. Our Vice President in charge of programs is Lori Harrison. And Lori, you have the floor.
Okay, great. For those of you who might remember, we did a networking session about a month ago, I guess, and everyone really enjoyed it. So today we thought we would do another breakout room / networking session. Just as a reminder, everybody has been put into a breakout room, and you're going to see a button on your screen to join the meeting. It's pretty easy. You just have to click that button. You'll be put into the breakout room by itself. You will have about 20 minutes in the breakout room, and I'll be sending you a notice when you've got about 2 minutes left. And everyone will automatically rejoin the breakout room, so you don't have to do that much. Our group leaders today are Seeger, Sally, Jeff Wells, Bob Baxter, Michael Displains. And just as a reminder, in the breakout room, you'll be asked to share your name. I know many of us know each other, but there are always people who don't know your name. So please share your name. And then today's topic is with hurricane season coming, we thought it'd be fun if everybody shared something that they would take with them when preparing to leave their home during a hurricane. So hopefully you'll learn something interesting and fun about one of our members or all of our members. So I'm gonna open the rooms and we will see you in about 20 minutes.
Lori, if I have a 5 on mine, should I go or stay?
Okay, you know what? I have to figure out how to put all these people in breakout rooms who are not in a breakout room. That's the part, or we might just stay here. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know. I know I did it last time, but I think what we should do is just stay here, and you and I will facilitate this group. Is that okay?
Okay.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
All right. So we have got in our breakout room, we've got Cy, Bernie, Steve, Jay, Marilyn, Bill, and Barbara, and Lisa is not available right now. So Jim, why don't you start and tell us about your piece that you would take with you when a hurricane comes. Kick us off.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen for this. This is what I would take. So we got this piece of equipment in January of 2020, and my wife and I have basically worn this piece of equipment out, and it has become we're both sort of addicted to it. So you know, it has given me a new focus on getting healthy and staying healthy and working out and doing it in a fun manner. And it would certainly have to go because I don't know what I would do without it. So that's what I would make sure came with me.
Is that a normal, like, how is that different than just bike riding, like on a bike path?
So it is, there's actually a video screen, and you can join classes live where you're there with other people from around the world, but they record every one of them, so you can take them whenever you want to do it. And they even have a feature where you can make it seem live at different times. rather than, just joining it and going along for it. There's some features where there's some social features where if you and I were friends and we were on the same ride at the same time, you can actually see each other. You can hit a camera and see and talk and whatnot. And there's, the coaching that you get is really good. And it's become so much more than just biking. You can cast from the bike to like a smart TV, and they have yoga classes, strength classes. There's a phone app that you can use for running, and they have infamously, Peloton has a treadmill that is now being recalled for some safety issues. But it really has become pretty comprehensive. They have meditation classes. They have stretching, boot camp. It's really good. It's really good.
You could be a
So.
salesperson for it. This looks like a bike to me. Who'd like to go next? You can unmute because hopefully we're just going to get some dialogue going, unless you've got stuff going on in the background, but we want it to be a conversation. So anybody want to go next?
I'll go next.
Great.
It's hard to say. Having lived in Baltimore, never really experienced hurricanes to the extent that we anticipate them here in Virginia. I've followed all the guidelines and have all the things packed and ready to go and that sort of thing. Obviously, I take my wife, although she may not want to go. But having said that, I think, documents and memorabilia, pictures and things from family members, particularly those that have passed away, the family Bible that, we maintain all of the records of members that have passed away so we can have that to pass on. So those would be the things that obviously they're not as sexy as taking a Peloton bike, hauling that away. But those would be the things I would initially think about taking, sure.
Have you ever packed up your items and gotten ready to leave the house for her?
Oh yeah. As a matter of fact, if you go in my garage, I have one of these inflatable boats with the paddles and all of that stuff. I mean, we live right off of Lake Whitehurst near Botanical Gardens, and we get flooded quite a bit. So I'm ready to paddle out of here if I have to. I can see us going down Azalea Gardens Road in a rowboat or a paddle boat now, but hopefully we won't have to experience that.
Oh, that's great. And your documents, is there one document that you would be, I guess, maybe more emotional about losing that you'd really want to take with you?
I don't know how to say this and not sound morbid, but probably my will.
Okay.
As we packaged all of that stuff, and I have a trust, and I've designated to children and grandkids how I want things distributed. So yeah, I would take that. I have some of those things in a safety deposit box, but I'm not sure whether or not they would be saved if the weather really, really was bad here. But those would be the things I'd pack in the car. My problem would be getting out of here, because I just don't think unless we leave 3 or 4 days prior to the forecast, we're just not going to get out of here. That's it. So, we may just hunker down.
If we think we see you in a rubber raft on TV, we'll know for sure that's you.
That's right.
I want to see that, Steve.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a point. I'll ride by Botanical Gardens and wave at Mike Des Plaines.
What about somebody else?
Well, I'll go. I think Steve sort of took some of my things. One time we did evacuate out of here, and we just loaded up the grandkids in the car with a couple of extra gas tanks to make sure that if we got stuck in traffic on the highway, that we wouldn't be on the side of the road with 3 screaming Mimis. But I think, when it comes to possessions, I would take the family Bible in flash drives with family photo memories on them. The good thing about a hurricane is when it's coming. as opposed to growing up in the Midwest, when the tornadoes hit, you have no idea which way they're going to spur off and where they're going to land. So I like getting the warning, even if it's inaccurate.
Practical. What about somebody else?
Jay.
Jay?
So I'm not going anywhere. We have been in this zone. We live on the Elizabeth River, and we live on the water side of the seawall, a condo called Pier Point. And we have, you know, they closed the gates by Nauticus, and we feel like we're in the danger zone, but we're on the 4th floor. So when we moved back from Connecticut in 2013 and moved in here, I discovered that the previous owners had flood insurance and had all kinds of concerns. And, you know, I immediately looked around and I said, if the water gets up to the 4th floor, there will be no Norfolk to be concerned about. So we have refused evacuation on 1 or 2 occasions when it was offered or suggested. And so far we have survived. It's not, you know, the land this would be between the pagoda and the Wisconsin is actually fairly high because the water has never come up into our parking lot since this condo was built. So, you know, I don't know what the future holds, but we are hunkering down, and I will have all of my documents where they always are, not moving anything. Thank you.
Same. What about you, Marilyn?
I'm sort of like the others. I was going to tell my husband to take the lockbox with all the papers and wills and, you know, all that sort of stuff. And I would grab the kids' photo albums and things from my parents. That's assuming we have water and food for a week already in the car if we leave.
Bernie? Is there anything special? You need to unmute, Bernie.
Bernie, you're still muted. You need to unmute your microphone. If you click the red microphone in the bottom left of your screen, it'll turn on. There you go. Nope.
Who is the host?
I am, and
I think you may have.
It doesn't let me. It just lets me ask him to unmute. All right.
Does anyone read lips?
Bernie, we're going to come back to you.
Yeah, that would be great. What about
Bill? How about you? And you need to unmute also. Hey, Bill, if you hit your space bar and just hold it down, it'll unmute you. Push your space bar down and then just talk and hold it down.
Hi, you got me now?
Yeah.
Now we got you.
I was born and raised in Virginia, in Hampton. We were right on the water. I've had the flooded in front of the house, behind the house. Even when I went to my mother's life, where she was raised in Illinois, they had more water problem than we did. They lived down in Cairo, outside of Cairo, Illinois. There was a moat all around.
wall all around the town.
Huh.
That was the competitor was shot with Chicago as to which one of those places would become the commercial center of Illinois.
Mhm.
I was safe from this in Arizona when I was there with NIH, in Charlottesville, but in where we live in Virginia Beach, our home is probably 20 feet up, 25 feet. We're on a lake that's routinely 6 feet above the high tide here. And we're up another 20 feet. We're not going anywhere. We haven't had these periods. You lose electricity most often. Might not want to drink the local water then, but we're here.
Thank you.
Is there any?
Bernie, I think we have you back, Bernie.
Okay, you have me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. My experience with hurricanes was just a couple years ago. We're talking about possessions. We're talking about pets. We had a dog, Rocky, and little Westy, and we were told to evacuate this area. Many of our neighbors did not evacuate. We did because a very close friend of ours told us that the city would eliminate certain emergency centers once a hurricane came. So we took little Rocky in the car with a few possessions we had, and what a trip. I mean, we went up through Virginia and all through Richmond, around DC, because we had to get room for him at a hotel, and they wouldn't take pets. But we had lined up one in Gaithersburg. We drove around DC all the way up to Gaithersburg, Maryland, and we spent 2 days there. And then we got word that the hurricane was going to Carolina and not here. So it was my experience with a pet. You know, it was a job because we would leave a pet in the room there, and the cleanup people, the housekeepers, would notify us that he's raising hell. So we had to gather them up and get back. Quite an experience.
Can I add just an anecdote to Bernie's story? When I was superintendent and we would plan with the city about contingencies for hurricanes, our biggest challenge was trying to find a location where we could house pets.
Mhm.
And it was decided that we would designate a school, but we could never come to any kind of agreement or consensus about exactly where it would be located and what provisions would be provided. So clearly that is a major concern for residents here in this region about what to do in an emergency with housing pets.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Clay, how about you? What would you make sure you took with you?
My 2 dogs, I'm sure, would go. And as you guys are saying, it would be a lot of fun with those little rascals. We haven't ever evacuated. And, you know, I'm sure we would take the computers and the backup for that kind of stuff. We have a ton of books. So I don't think I would see water damage, but if I was really worried about it, I'm sure there's a box of books we would probably put together.
Anything special? Maybe one book that comes to mind, or you definitely would take?
My wife owns an old Black Sun Press book from France. You know, it has some value, but it has a ton of sentimental value. When she was young, she, you know, she was a waitress and she worked a ton to save money just to buy this one specific book. So I'm sure it would be the first one she would put in there.
Neat.
Yeah.
How about you, Lori?
Well, I took a different route. I didn't take a practical route at all. It's probably just the way I am. But see, the painting behind me it's my children on Mother's Day a long time ago. And my mom painted it. She's a nationally known artist. And so I would take the sentimental things. I didn't even think about the practical things. I thought all sentimental. So I would take paintings and photographs, and I guess I hope somebody somewhere else has a copy of all those important papers. But, anyways, y'all have made me really think about what I need to reconsider on my hurricane list. But the other thing that strikes me is that this group is pretty brave and not very concerned about leaving their homes for hurricanes. So that's definitely something that you don't always hear in a group. But anyway, so that's what I would take. But I want to know, Barbara, did you get the grandchildren in the car? Did you ever go anywhere?
Oh, yes. Yeah, we rented a house that took pets. So we had 3 children and 2 dogs and an extra tank of gas. And we went up to the mountains, and we stayed up around Wintergreen and hiked in very stormy weather. You know, I remember going to an apple orchard, and instead of picking apples, we were being bombarded with apples because they were all like just blowing off the trees on top of our heads. But it was a rainy weekend. We didn't have the hurricane there, but I think it was the same one that someone else was talking about, because it hit in North Carolina and then calmed down. And we just had a rainy weekend in the mountains, but I felt better there.
I always get nervous that if you leave, I've heard horror stories about people who just get caught in a worse part of the hurricane. And so anyways, always trying to figure out where it's going to go and dodging it. So we have stayed put too.
I can tell you, when was it Isabel that came through that everything got so inundated around here? As a physician, somebody has to be on call and can't leave. And it was my weekend or time period. So the 2 kids, my husband and I, we took stuff and we went into CHKD and we bunkered down there, you know, sleeping on the floor, what have you. But our dog, we had to pass off to someone else to watch her because she needed insulin shots twice a day. And how are we going to keep the insulin cold? Our only other thought was maybe we could sneak her in the hospital, but figured they probably wouldn't look too highly on that. But that's the only experience that we've had, thankfully.
I know when Sandy was around, the Hurricane Sandy was around, they really weren't sure where it was going. So we actually went up to New York to just hang with my parents, and it chased us up there. and you talk about an area, I've never heard such whining from New Yorkers over what was really sort of a minor event to us down here and further south. But they, I guess when your subway gets flooded, that's kind of major. But in the suburbs, it was a relatively minor event that was very major in their minds. But got chased by one.
Anybody rethinking what they might take with them? Like one special item that you wouldn't want to lose? I guess the sentimental part of me wants to know.
Well, you know, Lori, so my father-in-law was an artist also, and we have a lot of his paintings, but I have them all on a disc because I know I couldn't possibly like load them into the car.
Good idea. Because I know my mom has got other ones on a disc, but I've never had mine photographed. So that is a really great idea. I'm gonna steal it because yeah.
It does make me want to digitize more.
Yeah. Well, the other thing once you digitize them, you can actually make them into a book. So then everybody in your family has copies or, picture of the paintings.
Yeah.
Good idea. Anything anybody else thought about, something that they would take? We got about a minute longer, then I'm going to broadcast, so we've got 2 minutes left.
I read someplace that you ought to make sure that you have your insurance adjuster and your policy numbers, and you put that in your phone. Because if you do have damage to your house and those records, for some reason, you can't locate them, you have that information right at hand. So that may be something you want to consider as well.
This is a good group. It's like tips for hurricanes.
You all are very, very practical, and it is a good reminder of the things that you really should be taking. So I appreciate the tips too. Has anybody heard what the hurricane is going to be?
Say again?
Has anyone heard about the prediction of how the hurricane season is shaping up for this year?
Yeah, it's going to be,
Pretty bad.
I think the prediction is that we're scheduled for, or they're predicting more than we've had in the past.
Well, it looks like are people beginning to reconvene?
Yes. Yes. We spotted the leave, or Sally spotted the leave room option. So we decided rather than being in the middle of a sentence, we would leave.
Robert Severs, room 3.
Hello, Sally.
Hey.
We're back.
We've got another 29 seconds. So as soon as everyone's back, we'll hopefully learn some interesting things that people learn about other members in their group. But we'll give it time for everyone to get back.
But we're not going to have enough time in this meeting to even recap.
Just have the team leader do a recap.
Oh, no, we don't want to do that. I'm going to pick someone from my group.
Hey, Jeff, you start. And you can pick somebody from your group if you want, or you can tell us something you learned about some or all of your members.
Well, we had Dr. Ash in our group, so it was nice to be able to talk about the real hurricane, not just about, we went through the what you would bring in about 30 seconds. It was a quick response because, you know, when Bob said he was going to bring his wife, we were all ashamed to bring our husbands and wives, so that ruled out everything else. And then when our second round, we went to pets. And in our third round, we had photographs and personal items, and then started getting practical, and then started having fun with some hurricane stories. But Bob does have a quick sidebar that he's going to share with the group. I see him locked out.
I don't know whether this is an appropriate use of the time, but I told an engineer's joke, which caused some humor to be resulted. Anyway, this engineer was at a convention in San Francisco, and typical engineering conventions are really dull. So he decided that he would spend some time down at the waterfront looking in shops. And he went into this curio shop, and among the things he saw was a brass rat. But that brass rat had 2 price tags on it. One was $50 and the other was $250. So he asked the shopkeeper, "What's the deal here with the brass rat?" And the shopkeeper said, "Well, the rat's only $50, but if you want the story behind the brass rat, that's $250. So being a cost benefit engineer, he said, "Here's $50, give me the rat." So he takes the rat, walks out of the shop, and the first thing he notices is that rats are coming out of the gutter and following him as he goes along. There were some old abandoned stores. By the time he got back to the waterfront, there must have been over 100 rats. So he threw the brass rat into the water, and all the rats leaped in behind it. So he went back to the shop, and the shopkeeper said, "Oh, I see you're back for the story." And he said, "No, do you have any brass lawyers?"
Okay, sorry, Lori. We just had to share that one because that was part of our time killer. But the balance of our time was talking about how we have experienced and lived through and stayed through hurricanes and other storms, and that was pretty neat too. So thank you for the topic, thank you for the time, and thank you for our group. Excellent group, wonderful, fun stories.
Thanks for sharing. What about you, Bob Batcher? What about your group?
Our group had a lot of experience with hurricanes, from either staying or getting ready. Cy impressed me because he was he's protected because they're on the 14th floor of their building. So we're going to use him as our weatherman and predict. But I think, Lisa, the best way to get prepared is to relax and just go with it and buy an oar and hope you have a boat to go with it. So we had some good stories about the experience with multiple ones. I actually started by saying, take my wife because I've been through many, many hurricanes with the Red Cross and the city of Norfolk. And my habit was to leave my family behind and serve the public. And now it's her turn. So, which she reminds me of periodically.
Thank you. What about you, Michael? Are you still here? I can't see you.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So first of all, Lori, we did not like the question because nobody wants to think of a hurricane, right? We want to think of happy, joyous things. Secondly, some of us felt really bad that we wanted to bring inanimate objects when we had wonderful people like Alan say, of course I would bring my wife. So we then decided to make it fair to all concerned by saying, we assume that all animate objects would already be in the car, like spouses and pets. So it had to be inanimate. I thought Baranu's was the smartest. He'd bring his computer because his entire life is in there. That's really smart. Somebody else said a phone. I didn't even think of that. I wanted artwork. Julie Kiesling wanted the Bible because, quote, I've never read it. What else? or something along those lines. God, who else was in our group? Help me, group, who am I missing? Oh, Healy would bring his guitar. Shocking. He also says, this question is not pertaining to me because I live on the 3rd floor now. Who else? Oh, Sharon Lauterberg, historical photos of her family. I thought that was really touching. That's the kind my mom would want to hear. And then we had a lot of extra time. So we did a part 2, which is bucket list travel or your next planned trip. Now that we can all go somewhere, everyone already has something booked. It's funny. Everybody's going somewhere. So there should be a lot of happy bucks when they come back.
Well, thank you for filling your time wisely, Michael, even though you didn't like the question. But anyways, what about Sally Hartman?
Well, we had a very practical group. They're bringing computers and their paperwork and things. And yes, we are bringing any spouses, family, pets. And I am bringing my dad's bear, that my dad's only toy. My dad was born in 1906. He was nearly 50. I tell people that. I was like, I'm not that old. But it was his only toy and I have it. So I would bring that and photos, but we had a good discussion of things. And then we talked about our weather events we've been in, and we learned that Barbara Lifflin prefers to be in blizzards, while John Cameron would much rather be in a hurricane than a blizzard. So we learned about people's weather events. Some had been it for earthquakes. I think Gus had been in an earthquake in California. So we had a nice weather discussion.
Great, thanks a lot. And Seeger.
So we had fun talking, and of course we're going to take our spouses, children, and pets with us. But what evolved was that Brian McGuire has a fascination with honey. And it turns out that Jennifer Dilworth loves honey. So it went to, oh, well, we ought to have an outing to find some bees with honey and maybe share meals with honey. So, we talked about honey recipes, honey possible going and finding it. And with extra time, like the rest of you, we actually had 3 younger, newer members. And so we talked a little bit about ourselves. So Lauren talked about CHKD and Brian talked about doing some internships in his chosen field of study. And Jennifer talked about her law practice, focusing on families. And Diana Starkey talked about the Arts Festival and how hard it is to devolve a festival as well as build one up, but also now the issue that they're facing of whether or not you expand it. And so that's kind of what we talked about. It was really terrific.
Good. I'm glad everyone enjoyed it. And Jim, do you want to recap our group?
Sure, I can recap our group. So I'm going to be honest, I was a little, I thought we had great input. I thought there was not a whole lot of things that were out of the norm. There were lots of documents, there were lots of photos. I tried to come at it from a little bit different standpoint and be at least a little bit humorous. So I'm going to show you what I said I would bring. That's all. But yeah, lots of make sure your loved ones are with you. Make sure your pets are with you. Important documents. We did have, Lori had a neat painting. Lori, move your head to the left or the right so we can see the painting that your mom did of your kids. But yeah, we had it was very good. We have realized that we have lots of stayers and not evacuators in our group. And probably the best hurricane story, actual hurricane story, was Marilyn having to sleep on the floor of CHKD during Isabel, I believe. So it was a good group.
Hey,
A lot of
Jim?
fun. Yes.
Jim, just be sure you protect my papers.
Gotcha.
Anybody else want to share anything about the exercise today, the networking session?
It was fun. Thank you for doing it. And our group is digitizing a lot of photos and things that are around. We've kind of realized that they need to be preserved beyond whatever frame or album or place they're in, the ones that are pre-digital.
I think it was an interesting point when Eleanor shared with our group. She said, I would be bringing photos and personal items because most of the time when you hear a disaster story after a tornado or a fire or a hurricane, people say, I wish I had taken the photos. I wish I lost those and I miss those the most. And we talked about the possibility of doing that digitally, but what happens if you can't access your digital files? To go to the cloud and you can't get them. So who knows? Great topic, I thought. And it was a lot of fun just getting into the small groups.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that again. Joe.
All right. Well, thank you all. I hope everyone had a great time. Our School of the Week will be receiving a book, Lori, in your honor for putting this together. It'll be going once again to Willard Model Elementary School. Our next meeting is going to be on June 1st. So we basically have almost a 2-week break, but we'll be meeting on June 1st. Our speaker will be Patrick Mullins. He's the Director of Public Works for Virginia Stage Company. So we look forward to hearing what's going on there. And June's a pretty big week. We have Virginia Stage Company, then we have the head football coach for ODU, and then we have the mayor. So, looking forward to some good meetings. If there's nothing else, thank you all for attending. Look forward to seeing you all in a few weeks. Enjoy the beautiful weather, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.